Okay, hi and welcome to the first episode of the Destitute Diner. In this web series I'm going to talk to you about how to create meals out of what you consider to be something completely inedible. Well, maybe not completely inedible, but borderline can't make anything out of your cupboard kind of thing. So for starters, I'm going to take you on a bit of a tour of my fridge at the moment, which is looking a little bit sad, and talk about what I could possibly make out of this, and then we'll go through and make a meal. Not sure if you can see in there, but it's pretty much just filled with dry ingredients, salt, condiments, there's some yeast in there, there's a hell of a lot of liquor, some rolled oats, yay, and a lot of tea. Drink a lot of tea. My refrigerator, even more depressing, this is my freezer, contains a lot of mince. There's a roll of puff pastry there, some spring rolls in case we have random people around for drinks, and some meat that's probably been in there for a little bit too long. And then in my fridge, beer, condiments, Coke. Oh look, there's some tonic water down there for when we decide we want some gin, but I drank all the gin last weekend. More beer. And not a heck of a lot in the way of vegetables. I think I can see some yams and a pumpkin and maybe some carrots in there. So this is what I'm going to try and cook a meal out of tonight. Okay, so do you think I can do it? Well, there's actually heaps in there to cook with. It might not look like much. We're going to try and go with the absolute bare minimum though. I'll try and do something with some basics that everyone should have in the cupboard, and then maybe even a dessert if you're feeling really adventurous. Okie dokie, so first things first, we're going to talk about the basics. So today I've pretty much decided that my only option probably is to make a casserole of some sort. I've got some meat, thankfully. If I didn't have any meat, I can make a veggie one. I've got plenty of root vegetables. Also got heaps and heaps of spices. I think that's really important that you always have a lot of spices in your cupboard. I've got a singular onion, one onion. Got some garlic, about half a bowl there, so that's good too. So I'm going to be putting, as well as my steak, which is a little bit freezer burn, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to put some carrots in there and some potatoes, and I'm going to use turmeric, which is a New Zealand sweet potato. You might call them yams in America. So this is what we call a turmeric, and you'll probably call a yam or a sweet potato. Now, to go with that, to make the base for the casserole, we're going to use tin tomatoes. This is something that everybody should always have in their cupboard. Tin tomatoes are really, really, really useful. You can use them in just about everything. If you have got nothing to eat, you can make a pasta sauce out of tin tomatoes and some onion or some garlic and a little bit of basil and toss it in some fettuccine. So, I mean, really, if you've got tin tomatoes in your cupboard, you can make pretty much anything. Right, I've got my meat in the microwave defrosting. I've got my pan on the stove. Now, I have a really large, big saucepan, this one here, that I use for just about everything. So, this here I paid quite a bit for. It was really, really useful. I can put this in the straight in the oven as well, so I can go straight from the stove into the oven, and I don't have to worry about anything because the glass lid is heatproof as well. So really, really, really useful to get a really good pan like this. And if you don't have one, save up for one or ask one for your birthday or Christmas because they're really, really useful. Right, so one other thing I would like to say is that in no way should you copy what I'm doing health and safety wise. I have worked in kitchens before. My mother was a home ec teacher. I am not formally trained in health and safety or in a kitchen, so please do not copy my knife skills or my anything to do with health and safety. Please just ignore my health and safety. Okay? I don't want to be getting sued because you did something stupid. So first thing I'm going to do is chop up my onion. Yeah. Another thing that everyone should make sure they have is a nice sharp knife. I know that a lot of people are afraid of sharp knives. They are actually, here we go with the health and safety thing. It's much better to have a sharp knife than a blunt knife. A blunt knife is going to slip and can cut you. A sharp knife, at least if it cuts you, it's going to be nice and clean. But it hopefully won't slip if you're using it correctly. I'm not going to show you how to use it. You can use it however you fucking want to. Please do not whatever you do, please do not blame me if you cut yourself. Okay, so you don't have to be too fussy with cutting up your onion. Now, I use olive oil. You can use whatever oil you want in this. Another thing that I often use is rice bran oil. When something calls for vegetable oil, I use rice bran oil. I buy it in a big tin so that I never run out. And it's really great if you've got high cholesterol, which I don't, but it is hereditary in my husband's family, so we use the rice bran oil. So, chop up your onions. You don't have to be too fussy. Just go for it. As I said, please don't copy my knife skills. Please, please don't copy my knife skills. Just toss them in there. And now we've got garlic as well. Just mash that up. Now, if you've ever wondered how to stop your hands from smelling like garlic after you've peeled it, there is a little trick. And that is to wash your hands in cold water. I don't know what the science is of it behind it, but it works. Now, don't be too fussy with chopping up your garlic because it is going to mainly melt away when it's in the oven anyway. So we're just going to kind of chop it up roughly. Don't put the stalky gross bits at the end of. Otherwise you'll get something kind of hard and nasty to bite into. So I'm not sure if this is going to come up on there, but these little bits in the end there, just throw them out. You don't really want them. So add those to your pan. Okay, so we're going to probably put, I'm going to cook potatoes as well. So I'm going to put in 2 potatoes each per each meal because I'm working late tomorrow night. So biscuits and these them as well, and I'm probably going to take some for my lunch. So I'm going to put in about 8 spuds altogether. So that's 2 per person per meal. Normally I buy washed potatoes, but I'm really poor at the moment, so I've got ones that I have to wash. This is sizzling away nicely. Now you don't want them to go black. Please listen until they're nice and soft, and if you want to caramelize them, a lot of people talk about caramelizing onions. Proper caramelized onions you actually leave in the pan for like 20 minutes to half an hour on really, really low. So if you caramelize them faster than that, they're not really caramelized onions, they're just kind of burnt onions. So you don't need to caramelize them, just soften them a little bit. So I've got topside steak. So this is $8.57 worth of topside steak in New Zealand. So it's probably about, I don't know, $6.50 worth in the US, or about $4 worth in the UK, £4 worth in the UK. So yeah, so it's actually not that bad value. And like this here is going to do us for 2 meals. So it's going to be for tonight's meal and for tomorrow night's meal. So it's actually quite good value. So, turn that down a little bit. So you want to start with this on high. You can turn it down. Make sure you've got the oven on about 180 or 200. Convert that to Fahrenheit. 180 is 360 Fahrenheit. 360? I don't know. It's not 360. It's something close to that anyway. 350 is 380. So I want to camera. Chop the ends off. Now I never ever take the skin off anything. And you can take the skin off if you want to. But most of the nutrition in your vegetables is just below the skin. So if you take the skin off, all you're doing is making it less good for you. And what's the point of eating veggies if they aren't good for you? Come on. Well, mind you, they do taste quite good, let's be honest. So I'm lucky enough to have a garbage guts for my ends of things with the bunny. So we're just going to roughly chop up our carrots. They don't have to be perfect because they're going to be in the oven cooking away. And now remember, carrots take longer to cook than kumara and potato. So you want to chop your carrots up smaller than your creamer and your potato. Creamer is going to take the least amount of time here. Sorry, sweet potato, yams, whatever you want to call them. They take the least amount of time to cook. So you want to chop that up the biggest. So I'm doing that quite chunky. And then my potatoes, I'm going to chop up a little bit smaller than that. Again, please don't copy my knife skills. I haven't cut myself in a long time, but I have cut myself before. So now, while I'm doing this, I'm going to talk about spices. Now, you may not have very many spices in your cupboard. Probably a good idea to go out there and buy some, let's be honest. I consider the most essential ones to be basil and oregano for your herbs. You can do a lot with those. And spice-wise, you've always got to have chili. Really important to always have chili. Cumin, I like to have. And also paprika, smoked paprika, because smoked paprika makes everything taste amazing. Now, I was actually going to put a bottle of that beer that I've got sitting in the fridge in here as well, but I just discovered that it's not actually beer. It's left over from a party last week. It's actually pear cider. Okay, now, people talk about sealing in the juices when it comes to steak. Scientifically, there is absolutely nothing that seals in the juices when you're cooking steak. If anything, it actually sucks them out, because when you're cooking it, what does heat do to moisture? Think about it. It evaporates. So no matter how you cook meat, if you're going to stick it in a pan and seal it, the moisture's still going to come out. It's nothing about sealing it. It's about getting some flavour in there. So, got our bowl of vegetables here. So we're going to put some spices in here now. Now, I have big jars of spices. I go and buy them in bulk. So, what I have here is here's my jar of smoked paprika. Just going to give that a bit of a shake up. It tends to clump a little bit. Don't measure stuff, just chuck it in. So probably about a tablespoon of that, and then probably another teaspoon of basil, and then a teaspoon of oregano. So we're going to do an Italian kind of spiced thing here. If you want to make it Mexican, put some cumin in and some chili. Still stick with the paprika. If you want to make it Spanish, again, a little bit of chili, kind of similar to Mexican, maybe chuck in some basil in there as well. Kind of like whatever moves furniture. When I'm doing Mexican, I actually really like to put a little tiny bit of cocoa powder in as well. It just kind of makes it a little bit richer and really kind of enhances a lot of the flavours. Goes really nicely with the chili and the cumin. Just going to fry that off a little bit. Always cook off your spices before you put any liquid in. Otherwise they will taste all powdery and yuck. So I'm going to get my slightly freezer burnt steak here. It's still not quite defrosted, but I don't really have time to muck about with that right now. Don't worry about cutting off any of the fat. The fat is what makes it taste good. So I'm just going to cut it in strips. Cut off that yucky freezer burnt bit there. Not very nice, does it? Yay, garbage disposal. And just cut it into big chunks. And then toss it in the pan. Now that's all going to cook down. So I've got 2 hours until mat get time. Hopefully it'll be nice and tender by the time we get time. It might not be because I have left this a little bit late. Ideally you want to be cooking this for at least 3 hours. Now, I'm unfortunately also out of red wine, which is really, really quite sad because I love red wine, and red wine tastes amazing in a stew. But tough pity because I ain't got none. So the reason why we're cooking this off is because of the flavour. We're not doing it to steal any fucking juices, okay? Flavour only. So make sure that you get it nice and brown